Let me mention that the opening match of this program was Claudio Castagnoli against Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor title, right? And Claudio was a Ring of Honor guy. Eddie Kingston spent a little bit of time there, but Claudio was in Ring of Honor for quite a while. They had the same kind of match that everybody else on this program has. Claudio can work. He can wrestle. The very first moves they did, they stood there and took turns with the chops and the forearms. Then they went to the floor for an extended period of time with no count out. Then they got back in the ring, and instead of wrestling, they did the Japanese strong style stuff. Then they had a fight on the ramp. Then they went to the break. When they came back, Claudio was getting heat on Kingston, and Kingston made a comeback. And again, every match is either modern Japanese style or what they believe it to be, or gymnastics, or a combination of whatever. They need producers that have the power to produce. Because I keep hearing that the producers or agents or whatever they term them, they're there to make suggestions but not give orders, apparently. And that the guys put their own matches together in large part. And then maybe the producer, well, here's the finish. Maybe you might get there this way. But they're doing the same.
And it shows.
Then they were standing there taking turns, letting the other guy hit them again. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Kingston is from New York, so he was over with the people. They were into it. I'm not saying they didn't enjoy Eddie Kingston. But Claudio hits a couple of big moves. Kingston keeps kicking out. And then Kingston got a false finish and got a big pop because he's over in New York. But after they went back and forth and did some shit, then everybody was kind of immobile for about 30 seconds. Kingston was standing there. Claudio was selling. And then Kingston just powerbombed him. 1, 2, 3. Big pop because it's Eddie Kingston in New York, but the finish just here. I'm going to grab him, pick him up, and powerbomb him. Boom, 1, 2, 3. After all this other shit they'd done. And then they shook hands. Because they're still doing the Code of Honor thing. And so apparently they're not mad at each other anymore for the reasons that they were never able to explain to us verbally to begin with. But before I talk about the Code of Honor, what'd you think of the match?
Thought it was all right. I'm not a big Claudio fan, and Kingston, I like his personality so much, but he seems to love doing certain things in matches that I'm just not into. And, again, like you said, everyone does the same kind of layout. You're going to see, and I hate you even call it yay boo, because that's not what it is anymore. It's just stand here and trade with me.
Yeah.
Because we saw someone do this in Japan 20 years ago, so we all have to keep doing this. And I don't like that. Now, let's look at the positives. The crowd was super into Eddie. This is what we said. You give him a world title win in New York, the crowd will go crazy. And it was a really cool moment, and I think people will remember the moment more than the match.
And what's going to happen when they go to Denver or Colorado Springs or Shively or wherever?
What do you mean, what's going to happen?
You said Eddie will get a big pop if you put the world title on him in New York. But how big of a pop is the Ring of Honor world title going to get anywhere else at this point?
Well, nowhere else. He's over. But again, it's more about how he's been used over and over again, starts and stops. But that's everyone's problem in AEW.
Well, with the Code of Honor also, they did it here and they're going to do it later on. The Code of Honor was the thing that Ring of Honor had come up, and I understand why they did it. And it was a marketing strategy that because the Ring of Honor from inception 2002 to, say, 2009, 8, 9, right before I started there when they got the HD Net television, it was a DVD company, a videotape company, the hardcore fans around the world ordering the technical wrestling extravaganza tapes. And so the Code of Honor, we're going to shake hands, with each other and show our sportsmanship because it's the audience. The only audience they had was people who wanted to see good matches on video. But then as they get television, as Kerry's getting pay-per-view, we got a pay-per-view deal and fucking wasn't worth shit, and then they didn't do others, but nevertheless, trying to get to a wider audience. Then that got in the way because the average person, well, why are they shaking hands if they're so fucking mad? And so I inherited that as executive producer, and what I try to do with Adam Pearce and with Delirious, and we did, was to make the people understand, make the code of honor something besides, okay, these fucking, guys are going to have a match where they try to kill each other and then they're going to shake each other's hand. You still needed heat, you still needed heels, you still needed villains, backstabbers. So when we had the tale of the tape, height, weight, years pro, code of honor, well, all the baby faces would say, yes, we vow to adhere to the code of honor and show sportsmanship and respect for our craft and our sport. And some of the heels would say no, because they were fucking pricks and assholes that didn't want to shake anybody's hand. And some of the heels would say yes, but that was because they were a cocky, arrogant, egotistical heels that would do it in a condescending fashion. And but we tried to make something out of it where, without just the announcer saying that guy's a heel and that guy's a babyface, it would be a more modern way of identifying who the heels and the baby faces are. If a guy's such a dick, he will not shake the hand of the person he's competed against afterward, right? Blah, blah, blah. And you could work with that. But I'll go ahead and blow the surprise here. I didn't care. Claudio and Kingston, nobody knew why they were pissed either. Anyway. But later on, Samoa Joe and MJF, they have this goddamn match where they almost kill each other. And then they shake hands. So I guess it's over with forever. Joe's not going to want to get even for not winning the fucking title in his first opportunity. Either that or he was just lying about the handshake. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I see it. I mean, WWE just had some stuff with Brock and his handshakes just recently.
And he called that in the ring on his own, come to find out.
Well, who would fit better in AEW than someone who's just calling whatever they want to do in the ring?
Well, there you go. All right, I've vented enough about that.
Do you just not like the Code of Honor? Do you think it has any value today, like in 2023?
I think it does, but not when you have just had Samoa Joe choking out the fucking guy's friends and say, I'm going to take everything from you. And conversely, MJF saying, Samoa Joe, I've held this grudge for you shoving me when I was an extra for 10 years or whatever. And they have one match, almost kill each other, and then shake hands.
Well, at
least Cody and Brock had 3.
Well, we will get to that match in a bit. I don't want to say anything else about it now.
All right.